As you know, this series is about the death of the American civilization. And you probably know that Elon Musk plans to colonize Mars, maybe as early as 2040. Here's a headline. Hey, colonizing Mars is very ambitious, and I, for one, do hope Elon makes it. Overall, I'm an Elon fan. He's a technological genius. However, Elon has informed us that if people, not just in America, but worldwide, don't start having more children, humanity will become extinct. Not just civilizations, all of humanity. In other words, we would be headed toward the way of the dinosaurs. We're going and we're not coming back. That could put a damper on Elon's Marscapades. Let's consider a headline from Newsweek 2024. Elon just needs better advisors because we're not going extinct. However, we are in for a massive population decline because we have a massive fertility rate decline. You might know that in any population, it takes women having 2.1 children to maintain the size of any population. And we've been below 2.1 in the United States for over a decade. And we are sliding fast. It will not be good in the future for population. Let's look at this graph. You notice a big break between the first 4 countries and those below them. Why? Well, starting with Malaysia, the dates for decline cluster in the 1960s or later. Why? Let me read this.
Well, in 1960, the first birth control pill called Innovit was FDA approved for sale as an oral contraceptive. By 1965, approximately 1 in every 4 American women under age 45 had used the pill. That number rose to 13 million women worldwide by 1967, almost 60 years ago.
1960? Yep, 1960. I was a freshman in high school in a small Ohio town. But yesterday, 2026, at the age of 80, I thought maybe you may not believe me about the stigma of women using birth control in 1960s. So I asked my AI co-pilot to make a comment, and here it is.
Yes, there was a stigma for women to use birth control pills in 1960s. The introduction of the birth control pill was met with criticism and opposition, particularly from religious and conservative groups who viewed it as promoting promiscuity and undermining traditional values.
Traditional values, huh? Well, those sentiments were basically coming from my parents' generation, the silent generation, who produced baby boomers like me. And my AI co-pilot followed up with these thoughts.
The Catholic Church, for instance, thought that artificial contraception was a sin and went against the natural order established by God. Additionally, the pill faced significant opposition from those who believe it would disrupt the stability of American life and promote sexual liberation. This stigma contributed to the ongoing debates and discussions surrounding women's reproductive rights during the 1960s.
Disrupting the stability of American life? In the last episode, I talked about the fact that I've lived through 2 very distinct Americas. And in the last episode, I used religion as an example. Right now, I'm going to use social mores as an example. When I was young, it was socially taboo to use the word condom in most public social conversations. And in those days, condoms were kept in cases so that you had to ask for condoms. It was not an easy time. And then one day, I woke up to a second America, and condoms were at the checkout line in grocery stores along with candy for children. Here, look at this. Yep, look at this. The condom has become commonplace in the minds of little children. So, with birth control pills and condoms in the public realm for everyone to see and talk about, fewer babies were born, and even fewer are being born, to Musk's point. In fact, consider this data. That's quite a difference, huh? 20 million not born. 20 million not born, huh? Hey, that was 1980 and it went further downhill from there. But we cannot lay the entire blame on population decline just on condoms and birth control pills, because there was a basic shift in the thinking about family size. And in 1970, there was a song, Our House, by Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and it was about an idyllic situation of no children, just two cats in the yard. This is the album with the song Our House, and the lines simply go, our house is a very, very fine house with two cats in the yard. That song got a lot of airtime in my college years. And in fact, of my two best friends in undergraduate years, with whom I still keep in touch, two of us had one child each and the other had none. That's quite a drop from the 3 children families that we all came from 9 to 2. Besides the shift in family size, all 3 of us, me in the blue plaid shirt, stopped participating in organized religions in which we were raised. Hey, you should know that saying you were an atheist in the 1960s was social suicide. But in the university setting, it gained some acceptance. And of course today, some 55 years later, atheism is growing. So what have we got so far as of 2025? My AI co-pilot tells me that 99% of American women have used birth control at least once in their lives. And 65% of sexually active women from 15 to 49 use some form of birth control. And that is why Elon Musk points to the fact that the US is well below 2.1 children required of each woman to maintain our population. Here's some data of the lowest states. Yep, just looking at the 8 lowest reproductive states in DC, we see that America's fertility rate as of 2023 was a combined 1.62, meaning the American civilization we know is dying. If it weren't for the fact that the U.S. has more continuous immigrants than any other country, we would see unfathomable emptiness across the landscape. 2025's data are yet to be published, but I will advise you when they are. You should know that all 50 states are under the necessary 2.1 children per woman. And remember Puerto Rico's extremely low rate for later. Look at Puerto Rico, under 1. Wow. But can you guess which state has the highest birth rate? Take a guess, and I'll put it at the end of this episode. In the meantime, if you want data on any of this, you can find it at Wikipedia on birth rates in states in the United States. And now we can ask, is there any correlation between declining birth rates and church closings? Well, the state with the lowest birth rate and the highest church closings is Vermont. Look at this abandoned church in Vermont. It would be great to live there, except for the heating bill for 4 or 5 months. But if you were rich enough, you could winter in Palm Beach, Florida, near Mar-a-Lago. You might even cross paths with Donald Trump and talk the archaeology of religion and America's falling. In fact, you might even buy one of Palm Beach's abandoned churches for winter residence, like Bethesda by the Sea, Episcopal. You see it here. Now, before moving on to the Amish and trying to help Elon with his population dilemma, let's consider the population decline of Puerto Rico, which is less than 1. That's getting close to extinction. Why does that American protectorate have such a low birth rate? One of the reasons probably is because 45% of the population lives below the poverty line, meaning that children are just cost prohibitive. And through the lens of Puerto Rico, we can look at the entire world. Children cost money, and we'll get into that in a future episode. Right now, we just have to deal with the fact that children are, in many cases, cost prohibitive. Money, it all comes down to money. That's why churches close. Lack of funds, right? But in 2021, we were informed. Never in the article are we informed of how those babies are to be paid for. Cost, 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 like a certain TV commercial informs us. Yes, the cost of child raising is getting very high, and we'll get into that in a future episode. Right now, let me repeat, I'm a big Elon Musk fan. His handling of technology is supreme, but his anthropological wanderings need help. Presumably, you are beginning to see the bottom line problem. Stated another way, you might be understanding the economic reasons why so many Americans don't want to have any babies at all, no matter how much Elon and President Trump harangue, especially without providing any universal health care. It all comes down to money. With the totality of the previously mentioned dismal demographic scenario, we have to realize it's not just for the United States, but for the entire world. And in fact, 59 countries are predicted to have dismal population decline from 2025 to 2050. In the last episode, I said I would love to be alive in 2050. That's not likely. But right now, I'm pretty sure that by 2035, I'm going to see a third America. And we'll get into that in a future episode. But right now, you might be leaning in Elon's favor and thinking that humanity is going to become extinct. Maybe you remember a biblical line, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." Look here. You don't see a shortage of children here, do you? The Amish, a rural religious group, are often described as meek people, characterized by their commitment to simple living, humility, pacifism, and a strong sense of community. Meek or not, the Amish have between 6 and 8 children per family. That is exactly what Elon Musk and President Trump want from non-Amish Americans. Family size, that is, not meekness. But consider this. This is a 2025 Christian Science Monitor headline. Regardless of Trump's baby boom proclamations, you might know that the Amish, like the Pilgrims before them, migrated from Europe to America because of religious persecutions. Imagine that, religious persecution. And both practice subsistence agriculture, meaning that the Amish can survive the dying of America. Cities are unimportant to them, unnecessary. A brief fact, from 1717 to 1750, 500 Amish migrated to the United States and settled in what is now Pennsylvania. And they settled in a spot called North Kill, Pennsylvania. And there's a monument to that event. Yep, like the Pilgrims before them, those white Europeans, the Amish, assumed that they had the right to settle on Native American lands, and they did. Now consider these numbers from my AI co-pilot. In 1900, the Amish population counted about 5,000 individuals. And by 2025, they had ballooned to around a little over 400,000. And by 2100, their population is estimated to be between 3.5 and 7 million. So it appears as though we might gravitate back toward our agricultural origins, but we're not going to go extinct, no matter how much Mr. Musk chatters. I know the Amish quite well because I grew up beside them as neighbors, and we went to school until they were 16 and could leave. And they have no interest in technology, and they have no interest in going to Mars. So is this the end of Mr. Musk's Mars-capades? In a word, no. And in the next episode, we'll try to solve his problems. So if you're interested, please hit the subscribe button. In the meantime, did you guess the state with the highest fertility rate? The last I checked, it was North Dakota at 2, which is below the 2.1. But you have my word. You check back in 5 years, and every state will be below what they are today. Please be informed that episode 3 will not be ready until at least May 1, probably May 15th.